So, good day everyone. So, I'm James Axelen Gomez and today we will talk about the China's dynasties. So, our lesson objective is you will learn the different dynasties in China, differentiate how the dynasties the same or different to other dynasties, and also you will know how each dynasties ended. So, first, let's talk about the Xia dynasty. So, Xia dynasty is the first dynasty in China. So, there are many researchers debate because of the existence of Xia dynasty. So, the Xia dynasty has no written records about its existence. So, the question now is, if the Xia dynasty has no written records of its existence, how we as people in this new generation know the existence of the Xia dynasty. So, there are two books that mention the existence of Xia dynasty, which is the Records of the Historian and then the Confucius Classic of Story. So, these two mention the existence of the Xia dynasty. And the Xia dynasty is gipamunuan ni Yu the Great, which is known for his effort on controlling the floods caused by the Great Yellow River. And also Yun Father Gun is the first person to attempt to stop the floods by building dikes and weirs, but all his efforts fail when the father of Yun failed on his plan to stop the floods. His father passed the responsibility to his son, which is si Yu the Great, and Yu successfully stopped the floods because of the Yellow River. And because of his efforts, the people in the Xia dynasty choose him to be a king in the Xia dynasty. So what are the standards to be a king in the Xia dynasty or in the different dynasty? So the role of the king inherited only on father to son. Sometimes it was also inherited to father to sister or the father to relatives. So what are the standards to become an emperor? So first, you need to have a courage, strength, fighting prowess, and wisdom. So these four things are very important to be very important in being a king, because king is not just only on being nugo-nugo ka ana manugo tapos magkuhag kwarta sa mga slaves ng mga people. No, dili na. Being a king is very hard position, no, in the dynasty, because king is the most responsible on protecting the dynasty and also the responsible on maintaining the economic on the dynasty, because as we all know, in China, the Chinese people always relying on agriculture. So the Yu the Great reign only lasted for 46 years. And sa iyang panunungkulan, nakatukod siya og mga provinces and nagbutang ko siya og mga provincial leaders. So mo ni ang iyang 9 ka mga regions nga iyang nabuo. And also in the Xia dynasty, na sila'y culture nga binaka-different, no? So ang Xia dynasty is ang pinakauna nga nag-invent og kanang mga bronze things. For example, is yung mga ani, which is ginagamit nila sa mga ceremony and sa mga daily lives po nila ginagamit. And also, in the Xia dynasty was also credited on making a calendar, which is utilizing on the movement of the moon and lunar. And also in Xia dynasty has also have a belief, which is the ancestry worship. So Xia dynasty is also strongly believed in ancestry worship and as very advanced for their time, using irrigation, brick oven, and pottery wheels. So what's the reason why most of the people in Xia dynasty worship on the ancestors? Because without of their ancestors, they can't have an irrigation without their ancestors. They can have a brick oven, and without of their ancestor, they can't have the pottery wheels. And this kind of situation is pareha kayo kang you the Great, because you the Great is the one who stopped the flood cause of the Great Yellow River. And sa iyang stop sa Yellow River na save ang ilang agriculture, no? Because like what I said earlier, nga ang China nag-base jud or nag-rely sa agriculture. So when in terms po sa religious, napoy religion ang Xia dynasty, but ilang religion is very different and very unique. So the Xia dynasty is believing in natural gods that represent many members of things. So first is kanang rain, earth, rivers, and skies. So what's the reason why most of the Xia dynasty believe on this kind of belief? No? So according to my research, so Xia dynasty believe on this belief because the rain give them water to drink every day. And also, they want, kumbaga, nagpasalamat sila sa rain, nagpasalamat sila sa rivers, nagpasalamat sila sa skies, and nagpasalamat sila sa earth. Because without these four, they can't live on this earth without these four, no? Mahimong meaningless ilang kinabuhi kung wala ning four. And also, as usual in the dynasty, ang mga dynasty Diyos is moabot yun sa end. So the Xia dynasty came to an end in 1600 BC when King Jia, which is the final king on this dynasty, was overthrown and defeated by a Tang of Shang, bringing a new rise of the Shang dynasty. So King Jia was known for being a cruel leader. He enjoyed torturing his people and then giving them a punishment na dili makatao. And then because of that, kuha na sa Shang dynasty as a good opportunity para i-invade nila ang Xian dynasty. And mao to ilang na invade ang Xian dynasty and nabago na ang dynasty, which is ang Shang dynasty. Shang dynasty has a great leader named Tang the Great. Tang the Great reigned for 29 years, and many viewed him as a good leader for lowering the tax and helping poor family. And also Tang the Great was also the one who saved the Xia people for their cruel leader Jin. And also in the Shang dynasty, they are also the one who have written records about their existence, and also the one who have a government system, which is gipangunahan sa priest, warrior, and then farmer, and then slave. And also in the Shang dynasty, na po sila unique na religion and writing systems, no, which is what we call oracle bone. So they use oracle bone to find answers on their questions. So they will find a bone on the sea turtles or anything, any animals that have bone, and then they will write there the questions, and then they will burn it to the fire, and then it will crack, and then kanang mga crack matrace na niya kung unsa ang tubag silang mga pangutana, which is very unique in this time sa Shang dynasty, no? And also the Shang dynasty has very rich and also in bronze making, because dati gi-invade nila ang Xia dynasty, and then when they invade, gi-adapt nila ang bronze making and ilang gi-improve, and then gi-apply na nila sa mga swords and mga axe. And also the Shang dynasty also came to an end when the Shang dynasty ended in 1046 BC, when the state of the Zhou invaded the capital and successfully overthrew the final Shang emperor Dixin. And also Dixin was also known for being a cruel leader, which is also enjoying torturing their people and have a strict law. And also, kani siya nga situation is pareha lang sa Xia dynasty, sa ilang last emperor nga grabe pud ka cruel, and gi-take advantage pud ni sa zoo people, and then gi-invade nila ang capital, and then nabuo na ang new dynasty nga Zhou dynasty. Zhou dynasty was divided into two regions, which is the Western Zhou and Eastern Zhou. So in the Zhou dynasty is gipamunuan siya ni King Wu, which is the first emperor or king on the Zhou dynasty. But King Wu died because of the illness, and his son took over the throne and become the second king on the Zhou dynasty. So during sa panunungkulan siyang anak, which is si Ji Chang, gi-improve niya ang agriculture, irrigation techniques. He also developed the irrigation techniques and have a dam building, and also improve the economy and also the military. So in the Zhou dynasty, they have also a very different and unique belief, no? Which is the mandate of heaven. So a mandate of heaven, a power of law to be granted by a god. So if there's a person that wants to rule the country, he need first the permission to the god. And also here in the Zhou dynasty, they have also a unique system, that what we call feudalism, a system of government based on landowners and tenants. So how feudalism works? So first is a king, and then ang king muhatag og land sa lords, and then the lords will give the king warriors in order to protect the king from assassination. And also the land that are given on the lords will give to the farmers. Then the farmers will give a portion to the king as silbi nga tax, no? And also here on Zhou dynasty, you have also a philosophers. This kani nga dynasty, diri nga time nagsulputan ang mga philosophers. So first is si Confucius, which teach us a lesson to adjust and to have a peaceful society. And also Confucius was the reason why our society work well when all people act properly based on their roles and relationship with others. And also ang ikaduha is ang Taoism, is ang leader is si Lao Tzu, which basically believe in harmony with the nature, and also being virtue or good achieving. And also lastly, legalism, which is gipamunuan ni Han Fei. In this legalism belief that the society deserve a strict laws in order for it to work, no? And also as usual, the Zhou dynasty came also to an end because of the war. Because back then the city was gipalibutan siya sa different nga mga region, and this region was always fighting because they want to rule the entire China. So nagbattle ning mga region, and then nagbattle until nga nang nadaog isang Qin, which is nabuo na ang Qin dynasty, and then sa Qin na po nagsugod ang gitawag nga emperor. Qin dynasty. So Qin dynasty is the most shortest period that rule in China. It only lasted I think mga 15 years na. So in the Qin dynasty is gipamunuon siya ni Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi, and during his reign the Qin dynasty have many achievements, especially in the most famous standardization. So what is the meaning of standardization? So standardization means making all things the same. So for example is dynasty, diha, the currency should be the same, the language should be the same, and the culture should be the same in order for them to understand and communicate each other. And also in the Qin dynasty, they're also famous in making the Great Wall of China, which are the most responsible on protecting their land. So Great Wall of China built for more than 10 years, and also took 300,000 men to build this wall. And also in terms of religion, so Emperor Qin was a very fan on legalism, which is making a strict laws for the society to work. So along the way, when sa pumuno ni Emperor Qin, ang mga Confucianism wala ganahi sa iyahang pamumuno because of the legalism. So we all know that legalism and Confucianism have a very big difference in terms of their belief. So legalism believe that the society should have a strict laws in order for them to work. And Confucianism also have a belief that the that that the people should adjust and to have a peaceful society, which is which is na yung mga difference ba. So what Emperor Qin did was he burned all the Confucianist books and also killed the Confucianist scholars in order for them to be silent, because siguro annoying na kaysa sa naong ni Emperor Qin mo to gipahilom niya. And also in the Qin dynasty, also came to an end because of the death of Emperor Qin. So there are many researchers debate of the death of the Emperor Qin. So many researchers says that Emperor Qin was killed because he is drinking a magic potion that to become an immortal, but he ended up killing herself, and then kita silang Lord. And ikaduha is gi-assassinate, pero mora gyapon na matay gyapon siya, gyapon ilalis. But pagkamatay na ni Emperor Qin, ang naa siya isa ka military person nga nagrebel sa Qin dynasty, which is si Lao Tsong, which si Lao Tsong ang nagbuild sa anti-Qin rebel, which is ang ilahang goal is sakupon ang Qin dynasty and ilang i-convert it into Han dynasty. So Han dynasty was reign on 206 BC to 220 AD. So the emperor on the Han dynasty was Emperor Gao or Gaudi, or in his real name Liu Bang. So he was the first emperor of the Han dynasty. And in the Han dynasty, it is divided into two regions, which is the Chang'an and Luoyang. So also in the Han dynasty, they are also rich in terms of improvement. So first is the fish scale armor, which they use in the war. First in the crossbow, also they use in the war, especially on kite. They use kite on guarding on the Great Wall of China. They use kite to scare the enemy by using bamboo on its side. So they will put bamboo in here. They will put bamboo, and then when it sounds, so the enemy will think that it was a ghost, and then they will attrust because they are scared. And next is the chain pump, which helped the Han dynasty in terms of agriculture, because most of the time the people was kanang hakot-hakot pag mga tubig, but because of the chain pump, ginabuhat na lang is magbutang chain pump sa river, and then ang chain pump na bahala mo deliver sa tubig hantod sa land. So next is the wheelbarrow, which they use on their delivering sa usahay, ginagamit po nila sa transportation. Also in the Han dynasty, they also believe in the Confucianism. So Confucianism, famous teacher, philosopher, and political theorists whose ideas have profoundly influenced the civilization of China and other East Asian. So the Confucianism teach us about how to adjust and have a peaceful society, and the reason why our society work well, because when all people act properly based on their rules and relationship with others. So that's the impact of the Confucianism in the Han dynasty. So also because of the Confucianism, igamit ni Emperor Gaudi ang Confucianism para basihan ang iyang social hierarchy sa Han Dynasty. So first is the third social system. So first is ang emperor, then second is farmers, then third naman is ang craftsmen and slaves. So emperor was the head of the dynasty. And also ang mga farmers, muna sila ang mga nagatanom or mga nagaproduce og mga crops. And also there is sa mga craftsmen, sila ang in charge sa mga luxury things like ang mga quintas, mga arios, mga swords, mga espada na or unsa. Then lastly is kanang mga slaves. So there, in addition sa mga slaves is in order para mailhan ka nga slaves is you need to wear a white t-shirt or white collar, because white collar indicates that you are came to the poor level. And also in the Han Dynasty, if you're a woman, you have only a limited independence, because a women will always in their house have asikaso mga bata, then magluto, mga inana. And then ang mga women is they can't go to the official like mga government is lang makapatong, then diha lang siya sa ubos, which is very sad yun. And also we all know that in the Han Dynasty, most of the people always relying on the agriculture, right? But when they discover Silk Road, they start exchanging their goods to the other countries. So what is Silk Road? So Silk Road or Silk Routes was a network of ancient trade routes formerly established during the Han Dynasty of China in 130 BCE, which linked the regions of the ancient world in commerce between 130 BCE to 1453 BCE. So Silk Road was the exchanging of goods, and not just dili lang goods but also culture. So these are the map which are nga ginapakita ang routes sa Silk Road. So first is they start on the Chang'an, because Chang'an is considered to be as one of the wealthiest cities in the Han. Also, you can see the routes that in the Donghuang, Kashgar, Damascus, and the Roman Empire. So most of the exchanges in the Han Dynasty was on the Western and Eastern Empire. So what are the resources that nilang gina-exchange? So if ang West may exchange sa East, ang ginahatag sa West is ang horses, honey, fruits, glassware, camels, and slaves. And when also the East mo exchange sa West, ang ginahatag sa East is ang silk, tea, dyes, mga porcelain, ivory, and rice. And also ang Silk Road is not just only on exchanging goods or you're exchanging the resources, but it also exchanging of your culture. So first, the Chinese paper printing technology spread to the Western countries, which is the wood block printing. Second is an exchange between Chinese and Western agricultural techniques, which is the intercropping and the terracing. Then the last one and the most important is the religion from other countries such as Christianity, Catholicism, and Buddhism that gradually spread to China. So there are three religion in China. So first is the Buddhism, Taoism, and the legalism. So which I say earlier in the Qi dynasty. And also in the Han dynasty, they have a government system. Which the highest was the emperor, and the chancellor, imperial counselor, and the grand commandant. These three has a responsibility in the Han dynasty. First is the chancellor, which is the main duty was to draft a government budget, and then the imperial counselor was to conduct the disciplinary procedures for government officials, and also the grand commandant, who was his responsibility to command the military. And also, as usual in every dynasty, Han dynasty came also to an end due to the three reasons. First is weak tax, and also because of the local elites is ginapataas nila ang tax so that the lower class will ang lower class ang mobayad sa ilahang tax. So and because of that, nag-lead na siya nga ang mga farmers is ginahatag nilang nila sa mga local elites ang ilahang land because they can't afford they don't have money to pay the taxes. And because of that, ming down ang ilang economy and nasigundahan pa sa many mga revolts such as the Yellow Turban Revolt, which is which is the rebellion that has the main enemy of the Han Dynasty. And because of that, ming down ang Han Dynasty and naglisod na og saka. And because of that, ning sulpot pod ang Sui Dynasty. So the Sui Dynasty has a great leader or great emperor called Emperor Yang Jian. So Yang Jian was not just an emperor but is also a builder. So Yang Jian was the one who is responsible on building the Grand Canal that are linked to the two great rivers of China, which is the Yellow and the Yangtze River. It was essentially completed during his reign. So the impact of Grand Canal to the Sui Dynasty is very huge because it facilitated trading and transportation of grains and goods between agricultural provinces. And also in the Sui Dynasty, they have also a land system, which is all individuals, including slaves, were entitled to a certain amount of land, but the amount of land will depend on their ability to supply. But there's a rule: after they died, the land would revert to the state to be reassigned, but provisions were allowed for inheritance of land. No? And also in the Sui Dynasty, they have a government system, which is first is the government, then second is the chancellery, next is the secretariat, then last is the Department of Secret Affairs. So what are the responsibility of these three? First is the chancellery. So chancellery become responsible for the imperial coaches, medicine, provisions, and stables. It was also become responsible for the city gates, the imperial seals, and the wardrobe and the palace administration. And next is the secretariat. So secretariat, so in the Sui Dynasty, they have a secretariat which is Zhongshu Sheng, which could be described as the imperial secretariat. So the duty of the central secretariat was to read incoming material to the throne, answer questions from the emperor, and to draft imperial edicts. And lastly is ang Department of State Affairs. So ang Department of State Affairs is nagconsist of 6 ministries, which is the personnel. So the personnel ministry appointed government officials including promotion and demotions. Then second is the rights. So the Ministry of Rights oversaw official ceremonies and managed the state religions of Taoism and Buddhism. Then next is the finance. So this ministry collected taxes and taxes that are very common in the land or the farmers. And next is the justice. The justice ministry oversaw the courts and judges. And the kalima is ang civil works. So the ministry managed the many construction projects of the Sui Dynasty, including the rebuilding of the Great Wall and the digging of the Great Canal. And lastly is the war. The Minister of War oversaw the Sui army and appointed the top generals. The Sui Dynasty came to its end because of the death of the emperor. Because of the death of the emperor, when the emperor killed, Li Yuan take the opportunity to claim himself as the successor of emperor and completely convert the Sui Dynasty into Tang Dynasty. So Tang Dynasty has a great leader called Li Yuan or Emperor Gaozu of Tang. So the founding emperor of Tang Dynasty, reigning from 618 to 626 BC. So in the Tang Dynasty, they have also a great achievement. So one key of success of the Tang Dynasty in reuniting China after several centuries of internal division was the decision to revive many of the Confucian principles and practices that had been abandoned after the fall of Han. So the outstanding members of that class, such as the classicists, which is si Hu Yuan, Sun Fu, Fan Zhongyan, Wang Anshi, Onyang Shu, and isa pa. So they contributed the revival of the Confucianism in education, politics, literature, and history, and also in the collectivity to the development of a scholarly official style and a way of life informed by Confucian ethics. So what are the Confucian principles? So the Tang rulers began to draw the Confucian principles of state Confucianism that originally established during Han as a means of centralizing power and weakening the power of aristocrats. So here's the example of the Confucianism. First is Li, which is right, rules, ritual, decorum, binding force of an enduring stable society. Then second is Ren, humanist, benevolence, and humanity. Third is Shu, reciprocity and empathy, which is do not do to others what you not want others to do unto you. Next is ang Yi, which is righteousness, and lastly is ang Xiao, which is filial piety, which means respect your elders. So what's the impact of the Confucian principles in the Tang Dynasty? The principles help the government on how to act and how to manage the people of the Tang Dynasty. Because of the Confucianism, the government of the Han Dynasty becomes strong. While the government was strong, it was not oppressive. They treated people fairly. Some become very rich, but the Tang rulers redistributed or gave out the land to give to the less fortunate poor peasants as an opportunity to grow their wealth. And also, in the Tang Dynasty, they have also a social hierarchy, which is first is ang emperor, second is ang gentry, then third is ang peasantry. So, emperor, which is the king of the dynasty, and gentry is the land-owning social class, while the peasantry is the agricultural laborer. And also, in the Tang Dynasty, they are also known for having a woman emperor, which is si Wu Zhao or Empress Wu. So, Empress Wu was a very, very good emperor because he improved the agricultural system, undercut the power of the landed aristocracy, strengthened the civil service system, and while simultaneously improving the women's right. So, what is the civil service system or civil service examination? So, civil service examination is a practice of selecting some officials through the periodic civil service examination. So, if you want to be an official, you need to undergo the civil service examination para ka nga mupasar. And also, in the Tang Dynasty enter the trading or what we call Silk Road. So, the Tang Dynasty are the one who produce swords, sickle, and even suits in the armor. So, the Tang Dynasty have a route which is magsugod sa Chang'an, which is known as the wealthiest city sa Tang Dynasty. And then in the Tang Dynasty, they will go to the Kutan, Kashgar, Akaso, and Kucha, which is the trading route, which diri nagatagak ang ilang mga products diri na ginahunong. And also, the Tang Dynasty also came to an end because of the rebellion. Yang Guofei launched a rebellion against the dynasty in 755 and briefly seized the capital of Chang'an. And also, because of the rebellion, ang Tang Dynasty na lost na sila control sa mga land. First is sa western region, na-conquer na sa mga rebellion. And second is sa Tarim Basin, which is na-control na po sa rebellion. And the Tang Dynasty fight on the rebellion and gladly nadaog ang Tang Dynasty. And pagkat nadaog man to ang Tang Dynasty, pero ang ilang economy is down na kayo. So, what the Tang Dynasty did is they followed the classic Chinese strategy of using a barbarian to oppose a barbarian by allying with a trading people called Uyghurs, a Turkic-speaking people who had taken over many of the caravan routes along the Silk Road against their old rivals. So, the old classic Chinese strategy was their last hope on reviving their economic. But another nomadic people called Kyrgyz defeated the Uyghurs and turned on the Tang dynasty government in its moment of weakness until ang ilang economic is na down na, and mingsunod na pud ang Song dynasty. Song dynasty reigned for 260 to 1279 BC. So the Song dynasty has a great leader called Emperor Taizu, or in his real name Zhao Guangyin, the first emperor of the Song dynasty. And also, the Song dynasty was a period of great cultural, economic, and technological advancement. The population of China doubled during this period, reaching close to 100 million people. And the Song dynasty is notable for its development of a highly centralized and bureaucratic state, and its promotion of Confucianism as state of ideology. So when we say bureaucratic state, it is a complex organization that has a multi-layered system and processes. So for example, ini is ang government agencies, government officials is kanang mga military. Example is kanang mga military, the military has a division, and then it divided into brigades, and then brigades divided into battalions, then battalions divided into companies, and then companies divided into platoon, and then platoon divided into squad, and then squad divided into soldiers. So that's the bureaucratic state or bureaucracy. And also in the Song dynasty, they are also rich on the agricultural and technological. So first is ang rice, tea, water pump, textile, and gun, and most especially ang foot binding. Foot binding exists on the past dynasties, but when the Song dynasty ruled the China, gihimo siya nga mandatory. And also in the Song dynasty, they have a social hierarchy, which is the 4 occupations. So first 4 occupation is giunahan sa scholar official, which is Shishen. Second is ang peasant farmers, which is ang Nong. Third is artisans, which is ang Gong. And ang last is ang merchants, which is ang Shang. And also in the Song dynasty, they have also a belief that those who work with their minds were more important than those who work with their hands. And the question now is how to become a scholar official, no? So to be able to become a scholar official, you need to undergo the civil service examination. So the cover of the civil service examination were based on the Confucian classics. And also in the civil service examination, there are 3 levels. So the first was a qualifying examination given annually at the provincial capital. Candidates who succeed in this first stage were normally not given position in the bureaucracy, except at the local level. Many stopped at this level and accepted position as village teachers to train other candidates. And those who wish to secure an official position could take a second examination given at the capital or in every 3 years. And if you want to proceed in the final examination, then the final examination will held on the imperial palace. So if you pass on the final examination, then you are eligible for a high position in the central bureaucracy. So what's the reason why the dynasties adapt the civil service examination? So first reason is to help the poor people. So they want to help the poor people to grow their wealth because most of the time ang Chinese is nag-rely lang sa agriculture. But when the Song dynasty, gitagaan nag-importansya sa mga emperors, and then gitabangan nila nga mo sa kailang wealth. And also, even though nga ang Song dynasties ay mga systems, ay mga examination, they also came to an end. So the reason of the end or the fall of the Song dynasties was nakipag-alayon sila sa Mongolians, na sila relationship, and then ang Song dynasties is nagplano nga sakupon ang Jin dynasties, which is ang number 1 nga enemy. And ang Song dynasties is successful nga na conquer nila ang Jin dynasties, but paglabay og mga years, ang Mongolians gi-break nila ang relationship sa Jin dynasty, and then gisakop nila ang Song, and then nahuman na ang Song dynasty. And so that's all. Thank you for your time and I hope na mo na learn.